we can now pull live stream data from the field right into the office and dashboard it in a format that we can make decisions with without having to manipulate the data. In a more conventional accounting system, you could be 60 days before you have anything material, and there's a lot that's happened by then. So what we see with all of the information that we have, by trending, then we can say, okay, this is a normal day, this is a normal week, but there's an anomaly here. What caused that? And the engineers can drill straight into that.
Meet Robert Wichert, CEO of Cougar Energy and specialist in automating oil and gas operations.
They ran a fiber optic cable along the pipeline. From that information, they could tell when people were digging around the pipeline.
One of your core principles at Cougar is going to be automation. How do you think that's going to impact all those different departments?
So that gives us a couple immediate benefits. One is
Robert has joined us today for a deep dive on building a venture startup from the ground up. Welcome to Wisdom at the Wellhead.
Hi, my name is Jeff Dyke, and this is my co-host, Kevin Fischer. We're with TotalStream, and today we're doing a podcast called Wisdom at the Wellhead, and our special guest today is Robert Wichert of Cougar Energy. Welcome, Robert.
great. Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here.
Robert, why don't you tell us a little bit about Cougar Energy and what your ambitions are with that and the story behind Cougar?
Sure. So first of all, happy to be here.
Yeah,
Jeff,
welcome.
Kevin. Cougar Energy is a successive startup that I've been involved with for some time now. I've been in the business 42 years and all primarily upstream.
Yeah.
I had a company we co-founded back in 2013. We sold it in 2018, and we've been building inventory and portfolio for Cougar since then. So we're focused on the U.S. Gulf Coast, Texas and Louisiana, onshore and offshore, and then we have some international opportunities we want to execute into Latin America and Africa. So we've got a pretty broad spread of interests. We've got a great backer, and we're just ready to go.
Great.
That sounds interesting. And you and I have had a lot of conversations over the years. In fact, we've worked together in the past with previous entities you've been in around the idea of streamlining the data in your systems and in your companies and making them efficient. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the ambitions of Cougar and some of the conversations we've had over the year about building an automated oil company?
Sure. No, it's, in the business going way back, and when I started, we were just getting into handheld calculators.
Right.
And then the early spreadsheets, Lotus 1, 2, 3, and capturing data and engineers trying to figure out how to optimize things. And then fast forward, we met, I think, in about 97 or 98. So what's that, 25 years ago?
Yep,
right.
And we still hadn't really progressed much. We were working Excel at that point and getting field data in by fax or whatever.
Right.
And then if you needed to do something, you had a tech, and that person would sort out some data, and you'd sort that out. Today, we have an opportunity to really automate things, and that's grown exponentially in capability.
Right.
The internet has taken off. We've got all kinds of cloud computing softwares through the roof. And so what we see with the advances in SCADA, we can now pull live stream data from the field right into the office and dashboard it in a format that we can make decisions with without having to manipulate the data.
Right.
So we're relying on your company to help us get those dashboards set up, customized for what Cougar's going to be
And
doing.
integration is such an important part of that. You have different functions in your company, different people that have to deal with the data from different perspectives. They have to know that data is accurate. Tell me, what is your perspective on the integration aspect of what we're endeavoring to do?
The integration is critical, and it gives us a huge advantage in that we link, for example, TotalStream is the engineering primary tool to use for drilling, completions, production, facilities, and then we integrate that straight into our accounting package, which we've chosen to go with the Quorum.
Right.
And then On the Quorum side, on the accounting side, then we go upstream into Enverus's package in OpenInvoice, automatic bidding, price books for the different vendors. So in a nutshell, what we have is then everything's connected and linked together as opposed to different siloed data sources that often result in problems when you try and replicate things.
Right.
Time consuming at the very least, but
Sometimes
error-prone.
debilitating.
Yes, error prone for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've picked some different platforms that accommodate this integration. And what is it about the platforms, especially with OpenInvoice and Quorum, that gravitated you toward those?
They're very, very robust. They have been around for years. They've evolved over time. So if we look at OpenInvoice, I've been watching them for 20 years. Digital Oilfield was the original, and,
Right.
and that's been moved into the group. It's a very robust system in that what's interesting is you've got all of the vendors that are already kind of pre-approved loaded on the OpenInvoice system, which will be mostly the vendors that we'll be using also.
Right.
So they're already connected. On the Quorum side, they have a global reach, so they've got support on the accounting side for everything that we're planning to do globally, training and
Right.
different international offices. So.
It seems to me like maybe one of your core principles at Cougar is going to be automation. You're going to try to make the complete digital oil field in the office. How do you think that's going to impact, everything from finance to the field to, geology to reservoir to and all those different departments? How do you think that's
One at a time?
No, just globally, I guess, between all of them
Globally.
all together. Yeah.
No, so the automation is simply pulling together all the pieces that already exist. Every company's got them,
Yep.
but in this case, they're going to be connected completely. So that gives us a couple immediate benefits. One is they're connected so we don't have the replication and potential errors between groups. Secondly, because of that, we can run a lot larger operation with a lot fewer people.
Right.
So we save a lot, and there's been some discussions around, for example, on the OpenInvoice side, where they've measured a reduction of 80 to 90% of accounting staff managing invoices and bids and that whole side of the business. So
By
that's
just
really
managing
powerful.
the quality of data that's coming
So
in.
what that does then is that allows us to scale very rapidly. We're not into having to hire a whole bunch of people for a different project.
Right.
We can leverage into that quite nicely. So
Yeah. It's great.
So it sounds to me like this solves a lot of your resource problems too. Going out, you can go more after the talent you need rather than just the bodies to fill massaging data.
Right. So we can go and we can afford to pay a premium and also pay superior bonuses. On the G&A side, we'll actually have a lot lighter load than a company of our equivalent production base,
Right.
Right.
but we'll be able to attract better talent, I think.
Right. So that's important to consider the resources that you have in play. How are you going to scale with those resources as you need them? Are you looking to hire internally immediately? Are you looking to outsource? What are you looking to do?
So some of the key aspects of the company we're going to outsource immediately. So I don't need to worry about picking those up. There'll be people that are familiar with, of course, the roles. So, for example, on the accounting side, we've got some contractors that will come in, very experienced people, Petra Solutions. And then on the legal side, we've got a number of law firms, but we've chosen one to be effectively our in-house counsel, Spencer Fain. So what that allows us to focus on in Cougar as an operating company, we're engineering focused. We desire to operate and maintain a high working interest. So we can scale by leveraging the tools, by contracting And over time, say, for example, a year, then we'd be looking to hire internally.
Yeah.
Right.
On the clerical staff, a lot of that is automated with the systems that we have. But as I talk to different people that are interested in joining, they actually have a really interesting career path. So they could be on purely accounting side, payables, receivables, royalties, and then slide over to total stream, where they become almost operations technicians,
Right.
linked and familiar with the accounting system, but now they're learning a different skill set as engineers
Yes.
that can say, hey, help me with this aspect of what I'm working
Right.
on, and then they're in.
And that goes to talk a lot about what we've talked about a lot is keeping at a high level. I like to call it keeping the technical tied to the financial, to keep your feet on the ground so that, the technical depends on the financial and the financial depends on the technical and the execution of it.
Yeah.
And when you have those two worlds in lockstep with one another, whether it comes from planning or other words, what's your impression of what that will do for your company if you have that? in place?
That's extremely powerful, because what we'll see then is near real-time financials that the operations engineers can then look at and understand the different things that are impacting, positive or negative, almost real time.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the drilling side, we have the morning report. We lay out the prices, what we project has been spent, field tickets, et cetera, that comes in, and we plot our days versus depth and our cost versus depth, et cetera. On the production side, we're looking at focused lifting costs, net margins, but typically the production side doesn't see those numbers for a month or two later.
Right.
And especially in a more conventional accounting system, you could be 60 days before you have anything material, and there's a lot that's happened by then.
Right.
Right.
So what we see with it almost instantaneous, real time, is we're now focusing on trending all of the information that we have. By trending, then we can say, okay, this is a normal day, this is a normal week, but there's an anomaly here. What caused that? And the engineers can drill straight into that, rather than to go to the accounting group, hey, run me a report and let me figure out what this means.
Yeah.
Right.
On the system, then we can also drill right down to the tank battery or to the well site. What's going on here?
Make
And
real
once you
decisions.
understand that, then that's extremely powerful.
Right. Right.
You got the ability to make real-time decisions when your data is quality and in one place and everybody knows where to find
Yes.
it is
Yeah.
a game changer.
Yeah.
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 Now, on integration with geology and geophysics, for example, when we're planning wells, when the team is proposing a well, they'll run through the play, they'll look at the structure, they'll find the trap, what's the odds of hydrocarbons, et cetera, then send it over to engineering. Let's get an AFE. Let's go build this thing out. Let's go drill it. There was a lot of assumptions that went into that decision.
Mm-hmm.
The reservoir quality. What did the offset wells perform like? How are we basing our economics for that well, right? So what's the IP? IP 30 days, IP 90 days. What's the decline curve? What do we project for ultimate recovery? That's all financial guesstimates to justify the well. When we have the integration real time, once that well is drilled, as it comes on, we're measuring the production daily, if not more frequently. So now we can compare the decline curve with what we projected it to be.
Right.
Okay? There's a couple of factors. A lot of the time we're making those choices of here's the decline curve for this kind of play. Those wells may have been completed in 1970 or 80, or what did they do?
Yeah.
They just perforated and walked away. So now we can say, okay, we're going to take more science. We're going to get some more cores. We're going to really understand the rock. We can customize the completion. Now, are we beating the decline curve, which then starts to rotate into what is the estimated ultimate recovery?
Right.
Right.
If we can demonstrate that we've changed something and we can measure it within months instead of a year or two.
Right.
Really powerful if you've got a play that could be 300 or 400 wells.
Right. Exactly.
So let's bring up that key word that kind of is floating around the industry and actually in all industries throughout the world, artificial intelligence and machine learning. How do you anticipate artificial intelligence and machine learning helping Cougar advance, and what do you think the impact will be on Cougar in the future?
Sure. So artificial intelligence is really pulling together vast amounts of data.
Yep.
And as you know, in engineering and every other place you're using computers, is garbage in is garbage out.
Yep,
So first
correct.
we need to get some control over what are we actually feeding the system. We're considering building our own language model that then focuses on taking the information we're generating as we get started and feeding it. But we also have the ability, and TotalStream has got the link for the production database for the U.S.
Yep.
So we can go pull all of the
Yep.
decline curves, the estimated recoveries from a play that we're looking at and feed that in.
Yep.
We can feed in the types of drilling fluids, for example, the types of completion fluids. So
Yep.
we have the ability over time to feed it, and so it's going to be, for us initially, going to be very play-specific.
Right.
But what AI is doing is it's running through different scenarios rapidly and coming up with an optimal solution that then our engineering team can say, yeah, this makes sense.
How valuable do you think it is, all the times we've spent together talking and planning and thinking through a strategy ahead of the time you have to execute it?
Well, planning is critical. Flawless execution is critical,
Right.
Yeah.
right? You can plan all you want, but if you trip going out the door, then
Right.
you've made a real mess.
Right.
Yep.
So I've spent a lot of time since finishing up with the last business laying out how this would work, looking at the different regions we want to focus in,
Right.
and then understanding the full cycle capacity that TotalStream has, and then what else can we link to it. I know we need accounting systems, so
Right.
Right.
there's lots of competitors, but there's a few standouts. And then the same on the invoicing side. That one's kind of a unique one that's
Right.
really interesting. So the planning's critical. I'll mention one more thing. On the invoicing side and the vendor side, there's another service that provides HSE data.
Yep.
Right.
So, okay, not for tangibles, but for a lot of services, what is their safety record?
Right.
We know immediately who they are. So at Whistler, we use them at the top three.
Yep.
Here's the top three. We know these guys can do it, but what's happened over here?
Right.
Right.
So we can build that into our decision process also, and that helps
Right. Right.
immensely.
So with all that planning and everything that has gone into play, it's come and go time pretty quick here.
Yes.
And so what have you done to stack the opportunities to start feeding the engine and moving through?
What we've seen, Jeff, is as you know, our industry's been in the gutter since 2016 when oil prices crashed.
Yep.
We've had multiple different events globally that have sort of shunned people away from oil. So we're sitting at a point now where for the past 6 years, raising money's been almost impossible.
Right.
Right.
But I see the money coming back into the industry, so this is a very exciting time. It's also a very exciting time to make acquisitions.
Right.
So we're going to have a two-phased approach. One is we've got a lot of internal prospects to drill, and those are largely coming from play generators that have been doing this for 30, 40 years, but couldn't raise any money.
Right.
So they've just been stacking up prospects,
Yeah.
and we're going to be able to come in and maximize that. So we have to go in and high-grade these prospects, and then that combined with some strategic acquisitions,
Right.
producing properties or exploration plays that are right to the drilling point
Yeah.
Right.
are the two targets that we're after.
Right. Well, that's interesting because I agree with you. I think the industry's with the slowdowns that have occurred, it creates future opportunities.
Yes,
on many, many levels.
huge.
And one of the things we've talked about a lot is some of these lower producing wells are under managed and probably have upside on the rates that they're currently producing at, simply because of not looking over pump fluid levels, not looking over pump performance, not looking over what the lift methods are, what the back pressures are on the reservoir, all kinds of different things that just are undermanaged. And we've talked a lot about that. Tell us a little bit what you think about those types of opportunities, even in the acquisition mode.
Sure. I think it was Getty that said the best place to drill is where oil's already been found.
Yep.
Right.
So when we look across just a short term across the Texas Gulf Coast, there are innumerable small mom and pop oil companies
Right.
that are producing 20, 50, 100 wells.
Mm-hmm.
But they drilled them back in the 80s, the 90s, some back in the 70s. And then since the price collapse 10 years ago, they have run out of cash.
Yeah.
They can't do anything. They can't even go and do a rod job.
You're right.
So as we go and look at some of these fields, the question, okay, what is the fluid level? Are you pumped off?
Right.
And they don't even know, some guys, what a fluid level is.
Right.
So you don't know whether you've got a hole in the tubing, you're just cycling fluid down hole.
Yeah.
If it's a lease tested setup, then you got 15 wells producing to a tank. You don't know which well is contributing what.
Right.
So the key thing is to get in and start to measure what's going on. The other interesting thing is often these fields have been depleted down to their estimated ultimate recovery,
Right.
but there's 3 stacked pay sands to recomplete to that they can't afford to do it,
Yeah.
which is unbelievable.
As technologically advanced as our society is, we're still in an industry that there's a large portion of companies that
Huge.
don't use technology to their advantage. And my family, for instance, my stepfather doesn't even have a computer on his desk. He's still doing everything on Notepad.
Yeah.
And I think there's a large sector of this industry that still operates that way. And the amount of potential there is very, very high.
It's huge. And I'll relate back on that field I was mentioning. There's actually, the producing zones about 2,500 feet
Yeah.
shallow. But they're going back in and finding stuff at 3,500 feet.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, this is huge. And I swear this is clear across the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
I love your statement. Oil is where oil was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
So you mentioned earlier you have some plans for to be in other countries also that in different complex geopolitical environments. How do you think the automation of setting up automation from the very beginning is going to help manage that, being in different parts of the world, in different time zones, in different areas?
So operations information is critical for us to make any kind of decisions.
Yeah.
What happens in more difficult geopolitical areas is you may not have access to your own lease,
Right.
your own well site, your own drilling rig.
Yeah.
And that comes in a number of factors. One is it could be just the military rolling around and you're roadblocked, or it could be the locals are kind of upset when they're roadblocking you. So if we have a SCADA systems on the ground, we can understand what's going on, even though we can't get to it, even if our pumpers can't get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one aspect to it. Then security-wise, if we have the ability to shut things down remotely, if we see something really
Yeah.
stupid going on, then that's a possibility. As an example, in Colombia, where we have a large opportunities to go into, one of the large pipelines, 36-inch crude pipeline,
Yeah.
they ran a fiber optic cable along the pipeline because from that information, they could tell when people were digging around the pipeline.
Yeah.
And they could fly birds out and stop them from
Yeah.
messing with it.
Causing a big issue.
It's a
Well, we need to take a little break here and thank some of our sponsors. So let's pick up on that idea of what you're doing in Colombia right after this word from our sponsors.
Total Stream Systems delivers end-to-end operational intelligence for the oil and gas industry. Our platform unifies production, asset, and financial data into one intuitive interface so operators can make faster, smarter decisions. From real-time monitoring to automated reporting, we help companies optimize production, reduce costs, and improve compliance without adding complexity. In short, we turn your operational data into actionable insights that drive performance and profitability. If you're interested in learning more about Total Stream Systems, come check us out at totalstream.com, or you can connect with us on LinkedIn. We'd love to chat with you and learn more about your organization.
Welcome back. So, Robert, you mentioned that you're going to be both nationally and internationally with all these companies, and we talked a little bit earlier about standing operating procedures for everybody in the company and across all different basins and globally. You also are probably going to have some major key performance indicators. What are some of those KPIs that you plan to track to make sure that you're staying straight and heading towards success?
Sure. So on the drilling side, it's pretty standard. We're watching for cost versus AFE. So penetration rates, we're looking for days versus depth, days versus cost, and any kind of flat time or MPT. On the production side, we're really focused on, are we maximizing the production rate? Are we completely drawn down? And what are our lifting costs? Those are key. In some cases, it may make sense not to draw them down completely.
Right.
So we want to know what that is.
Yeah.
We want to know which ones are and which ones aren't. But the other thing we're always looking for in KPIs is failure rates, costs over and above a standard production cost. We're also looking for monitoring pressures. So if we're doing some secondary, tertiary flooding, are we getting responses? Where are we getting responses? And what do we need to change? Those are some of the key ones that we're watching. And then from a management perspective, we're looking at maybe a broader scope. What's our barrels of oil a day or equivalent per employee?
Right.
On a grand scale.
How do you expect to, inform leadership and how to keep up with these KPIs? What's your plan for that?
So this is going to be very transparent. Most people in the company will be very well aware of what's going on operationally. They will have access to the dashboards. There are certain aspects to them that aren't confidential.
Right.
People will be able to see where there's drilling operations going. They'll be able to see successes, failures. They'll get a feel for what is the pulse of the company in their own district, in an international operation, and with the volume of work and some of the high-profile work that we're looking at, we hope to have many large successes that we can celebrate with everybody.
Yeah.
But those will be, everyone will be aware of them. They'll know where to go for a dashboard. We'll have in the kitchen, we'll have a screen saying, here's operations in your area.
Yeah.
Are we trending up? We're trending down? What's impacting it? One of the other things I wanted to mention on the KPIs is there's a difference between financial accounting and what the engineer sees as a lifting cost versus where we're going to implement an activity-based system, where we're going to be allocating more traditional things would be like G&A number. Because where does the G&A go? Where are we actually spending that time? So we're going to split it up so that although, let's say a small well looks like it's profitable at 3 or 4 barrels a day, once you put the corporate burden on it, it starts to become pretty clear that we need to recomplete this thing.
Yeah.
We're wasting our time. So it's kind of the 80-20 rule. But if you apply those costs where the engineers see what's going on, then they can apply.
Pull back the veil a little bit and let everybody understand where we're, make sure that we're profitable.
The other part on KPIs, which is really critical, is trending and looking for failures, mean time between failures. And what trending does It allows us to have a predictive model that would come in through the AI side of the feed as to when we may be expecting rod failures, pump failures, that kind of work. Where
Be ahead of the game, if you will.
Right. We're not going to wait for a well to go down and then try and figure out what's going on. We'll have a predictive model that says, yes, the production is dropping right off where the nearby ones aren't. Something's going wrong here.
Use technology and data to be proactive and not reactive, if you will.
Right. And that kind of goes back to, compressor maintenance, how many hours between overhauls. I go to the aviation side, we do engine oil analysis routinely, looking for metal particulates. And once you see an uptick, I better start looking at something.
Yeah.
Check the cylinders, valves, all the rest of that. So once you have that data available, then the engineers really have some tools to plan ahead. And it's not like, okay, let's go fix this well or let's do this recompletion. Maybe we've got 3 or 4 that we can combine and minimize the demobes on things, be more effective with our field operations.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked a lot about this. Sensia Global is a big key player that you plan to bring into the mix on this because of their expertise in automation and their expertise with sensing data. And they also have a platform, Avalon, that can bring all this data and make sensibility of it with the KPIs that you're looking for. Talk to me a little bit about your ideas with Sensia.
Sure. So Sensia, what we plan to do is build a standard package for each type of well.
Yeah.
What's the SCADA package look like for a little oil well, a high-spec gas well? And we'll have some standard packages, and that goes to your international question, where we will deploy these international projects on acquisitions. We'll already know, okay, here's these type of wells, Sensia, this is what we need.
Yeah.
But we want to go a step further in that we want to be able to control remotely also.
Right.
So we allow AI effectively reading pressures, temperatures, fluid levels to make field adjustments within limits.
Yes.
Engineers know it. The field people may not even be aware of it in some cases. It was something that they should have been doing if they knew what to do. But now we can automate those kind of processes and potentially reduce the number of field people that we actually need.
Yes.
So there's some leverages there that SCADA brings directly.
Right.
On top of just the safety issues. I mean, if you've got a high-pressure transmission line and you've got a leak somewhere, SCADA will pick it up immediately.
Right.
You don't need to wait for the newspaper or a television helicopter or something.
Yeah.
And plus, they bring the resource to the table that has in depth to it, and international depth as well as local depth.
Yes, and international depth is critical. So we see going through Latin America from Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, into Ecuador, Bolivia, Guyana, Brazil, and into Africa. Gabon appears to be pretty solid. Chad, great prospectivity, but a little difficult with the geopolitical side. So each area needs a little bit different touch.
Right.
Plus, we'll be linking to the SCADA systems to Starlink, so we don't need local cell phone coverage, right? We can just beam to Starlink and we see it immediately.
So tell me if I'm understanding this right. A lot of what you're relying on is not only standard operating procedures on how we're doing things, but you also want to set up a lot of standard operating procedures on how we build tank batteries, how we monitor wells, how we, so that you can work efficiently and effectively.
Yes. So as an example, back to this little South Texas project we looked at, little oil wells doing 2-3 barrels a day. Their gas vent is a hose to atmosphere.
Yeah.
Can't be doing that.
Right.
So how do you resolve that? Well, there is technology. You can set up 3-phase pump, pull the production from the producing side, and then pull down the casing side to a controlled point.
Yeah.
All 3-phase to the tank battery. Or we can set up individual three-phase or two-phase separation,
Yes.
but not in a separator format.
Right.
It's a straight flow through. So now we're seeing the gas rate, split gas rate, and then the liquid rate with a red eye detector
Right.
and get a water cut, recombine that whole stream and pump it to a central battery,
Okay.
where we minimize the amount of work required at the individual well. We still get the data, but that kind of skid package is something that we would build as a standard feature.
Yeah, that's great. It's not only you're also not only trying to minimize waste, but you're also trying to cut back on those costly projection errors that could happen to anybody out there just by using automation.
Well, I think what's intriguing me about that is you're bringing to the table the fear factor that goes into automating things for a lot of these small operators just doesn't need to exist anymore because of the cost benefits and the things it can bring to the table for them. And yet that also creates opportunity because a lot of smaller operators, like anything, don't want to leave their old processes even though they may be inefficient, which eventually leads opportunity to those that do.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say some of the fear factor is sort of go back to the 50s or 60s ESDs. Well, the tank's overflowing.
Right.
Okay, I need to go fix that. Well, what about catching that way before that happens?
Right.
Right.
You know, that's
The cost of putting
I've seen
something
it.
that on a
Yeah.
well is way cheaper than the cost of reclaiming that
Fixing
area and
it.
fixing the mistake.
And plus not having to visit a well because you know what's going on
Right.
with it
Precisely.
before you ever go out there.
Yeah, you've got the
And-
trending, everything.
So you go out to fix what matters and not what doesn't.
Yeah.
So I know you're kind of getting Cougar's just getting off the ground and really kicking off. But where do you see Cougar in the next 5-10 years from now? And what are some of your plans for the future?
So we will be at a pretty substantial production rate. A lot of prospects to drill right here
Yeah.
in the Gulf Coast, internationally, some sizable acquisitions. But as we integrate Total Stream and the SCADA systems, the accounting automation, we will be very nimble. We will understand our business day by day if need be.
Right.
We will have a measurement of every producing property. We'll have an analysis of what we expect the ultimate recovery to be for every well. So from that automation, now think about it. When we do a reserves report at the end of the year, does the reservoir company come in and pick a few and say, okay, everything looks like this? Or do we already have the data packaged for them?
Right.
This is the real data. So you don't have to spend 80% of your time at my expense. I've already packaged it the way I know you want it.
Yeah.
I just need your blessing, and you can cross-check with our data sources.
Yes.
So that speeds up and reduce the costs of that kind of report.
Really, you're trying to set the standard for the first digital oil company, if you will.
Well, we've got a lot of data out there, but
Start using it to our
none of it's
advantage.
really connected.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult for a company that's ingrained to change systems.
Right.
It's, I think
When the
we
wheels
can
move in a
see-
direction, it's hard to get it to turn to another one.
It's really difficult. So
Yeah. What would you say to other startups? What would be your best piece of advice for them since you're going through all this right now?
I think the main thing is our technology, our computing capacity has expanded exponentially just in the past 10 years. And so the opportunity on a clean slate is to pick up some of the best tools possible
Yeah.
and integrate them together. And that takes our industry in a full step change from where we were even 10 years ago.
Right.
I mean, it's astounding how things are moving.
Yeah.
So,
Leverage technology as much
Yeah.
as you can.
yep,
We are in other parts of our lives. Let's
Yeah.
do it in the oil and gas industry also.
yep.
So
Well, we're really excited to have you on today, Robert. This comes to our time frame that we have for this podcast today. We're looking forward to future discussions with you as you embark on this journey. And in future podcasts, we hope to bring a lot of wisdom at the Wellhead with various subjects in operations and things that will help your lives be better. And hopefully we'll be bringing on some guests that bring some real experience and ideas to the industry for the transitions digitally that we're going through. Thank you.
I enjoyed it, Robert. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Wisdom at the Wellhead. We hope you enjoyed the content today. If you'd like to follow us further, just go to our platforms that you see above, and we'd be glad to help you subscribe to our newsletter.